following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
How about that music today? How about a little bit of a beat? Blaine, want to start rapping for us?
If there's one thing I can't do is it's drop a beat. I cannot rap or rhyme for the life of me.
I wouldn't expect you to be fair, but welcome back to the Main Street Preps North Show. We are not dropping beats today. Instead, we're going to be talking Montgomery and Robertson County sports as usual, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. I'm Brady McAtamney. That is Blaine Keller. Blaine, it's raining up here in Montgomery County. What's it like down there?
It was like Noah's Ark, coming up here to our studio in Old Hickory. But, as soon as I got out of the car, it stopped raining. So I'm not drenched sitting in this chair right now. I guess that's a plus.
There you go. This is officially a dry podcast today. It's good to know. We're excited to bring you a lot of great content today, starting, as always, with a great interview where we are talking with Clay Head, Rossview girls basketball coach, former girls basketball coach at White House Heritage. So we got kind of a double dip here today. Clay, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course, we're excited to have you. So we're kind of 2 months in here to your first basketball season here with Rossview. What's it been like? What's kind of your experience been so far here in your first season with the Lady Hawks?
Well, it's been quite the adjustment. Moving over from White House Heritage up in Robertson County into Montgomery County. It's been quite a bit different. Just different sizes of the school. Different demographics, all of those things. So, the adjustment, it took a little while to get used to, but basketball is basketball and coaching is coaching. So, once we got into the swing of things and having the group of girls here, it's been easy to kind of get into the flow of things because we do have a great group of girls. And Rossview has such a great tradition of basketball.
It absolutely does. Speaking of that tradition, of course, the previous head coach, Justin Woods, is still around. It's not really the type of person that you think is right at that age of, retiring. Is he still kind of there helping out with you, maybe still offering advice? And what's your support system been like since getting to Rossview?
I reached out to Coach Woods early on in the process, just asking some questions and all. But as far as once the school year started, he has not been around. I know he has his own job, and his son is playing middle school ball, so he's been busy going and watching him play. But we do have a great support staff here, starting with our administration. They are really, really, really supportive of athletics and basketball, so that's great to have. Got a great set of assistant coaches with Coach coached at the high school level, at the middle school level. Also have a fresh face right out of college with Ellie Trianton. So, there is quite a bit of support. And also Coach Jackson being here and all the experience that he has, and he knows so much about the Clarksville ways, and so knows so many people in Clarksville. He's definitely a guy that you can lean on and ask for advice from his experiences.
Talking with Clay Head, former White House Heritage girls basketball coach, current Rossview girls basketball coach, and former Joe Burns quarterback. Coach Head, with the news of Tom Atkins retiring after 29 years at Joe Burns coming out this Monday, I really wanted to ask you about how his coaching style and what you experienced with him as a student formed your coaching style today, if at all.
Well, Coach Atkins is a mentor. He's a man of great character. I know him personally. He's my uncle as well as my high school football coach, and he was someone that would get the best out of all his teams and all his players, but do it in a very, respectful and calm way. He wasn't going to just berate you or belittle you, but yet he still had, control of the team and discipline, and just had, everyone's respect, not just on the team, but in that school and in the community. Definitely someone that deserves to be looked up to, and someone that deserves all the recognition that he gets. But, as far as influence, and I just remember, our practices with Coach Atkins as always being very organized. He definitely, was a teacher while he was coaching out there and helped to break down things and keep them simple for us and put us in position so that we could go and make plays. And no matter what sport you're in, that's kind of the root of all things that you're trying to do, is just help your kids, help your students learn the game, and just put them in position to be able to go out there and make plays.
Yeah, of course. Tom Atkins, a guy who influenced a lot of people. Congratulations to him on a happy, healthy retirement. We're going to talk a lot more about him coming up here. But Clay, you have a big game coming up next week. I know you probably don't want to look too far ahead, but the first Clarksville versus Rossview game for you in your coaching career here. Are you excited for that? Do you have any expectations going into that game as far as, the rivalry and the district implications and going up against a team like Clarksville?
Well, I've definitely heard a lot about it, and I'm excited for that environment that I know we'll have. First, we have to get through a Northeast team tomorrow night. That's a very important district game, and then we can start to turn our attention and focus towards them. But from what I hear, it's going to be a packed house. There's going to be a lot of excitement, a lot of energy there, and I know our girls will be ready for it. They'll be super excited to get to go. So I think we'll have to make sure that we keep our emotions and maintain our composure. But Clarksville High's got a very good program. Obviously, they got a very good player. It's going to be a huge challenge, but that's kind of why you come to Rossview, is to play in these games and get out there and see basketball at a high level.
Coach, I'm not sure if White House and White House Heritage kind of matches up to the Clarksville, Montgomery County implications of Clarksville and Rossview, especially when going up against Amari Berry. But in your experiences, maybe with Joe Burns and East Robertson, and even White House and White House Heritage, how do you think that rivalry kind of stacks up?
Yeah, I think those are good examples and good comparisons, because, in county and cross city rivalries are big, no matter how or what size the schools are. So, in the Joe Burns, East Robertson games and coaching in the White House Heritage games, I think that'll definitely, be a lot of things that I can relate to what will happen Tuesday night. But regardless of how big the schools are, anytime you get in that, you have emotions and kids, really putting it all out there and giving it all that they have. So I think it'll be, pretty comparable. Obviously, there'll probably be more people just because a bigger city, bigger school. But at its core, you got two groups that really want to go out and win that game for sure.
Yeah, we're very excited for that game coming up on Tuesday next week. Also going to be a celebration for head coach Johnny Jackson's 400 career wins over on the boys' side. So should be a great night at Rossview High on Tuesday. Clay, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and good luck tomorrow against Northeast.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you for all that you do for high school sports in this area. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Clay. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we should have another interview lined up. If not, we're going to be going straight into our one thing, our player of the week, game of the week. Stick around.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal. Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It was just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around.
I didn't think there were any cops around.
I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Cover your hands, sir.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
And we're back on Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brady, we were hoping to get Joe Burns boys basketball coach JoJo Northington on the show today. Haven't heard back yet. If we get a call, we'll bring him in. But, that's another guy in that Joe Burns administration who was really caught off guard, I'd say, by the retirement of Joe Burns football coach Tom Atkins, just a legendary icon in Robertson County sports. I was caught by surprise by it too, by that announcement.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's surprising, especially because he told you after the football season that, I'll retire when I'm not having fun. And, it seemed like he had all intentions of coming back for what would have been his 30th season. Pretty incredible. And for a guy who's, not exactly a guy that you'd expect to be there for, when you picture someone who's been coaching for 30 years, you picture someone maybe in their 60s, 70s. He's really not at that age. So it just goes to show how young he started when he was coaching, and just how many people he's affected in his life. Clay had, we just learned that he's his uncle. At least I just learned that. That's pretty cool. I suppose in a town that small, you're bound to be related to a handful of people, I'm sure. But yeah, definitely surprising news. But congratulations to him, going out on your own terms.
Yeah, won 190 games across his career. That's second most, trails only the legendary Boy Smith, who's in a ton, and I mean a ton, of high school football Hall of Fames. He won 288 games, I believe, at Springfield. So he's in pretty elite company as is. And as you mentioned, still pretty young. He's 56. And when I talked to him in November, I guess a word to the wise to not ask somebody their intentions for next season when you're in November. A lot can change in a couple of weeks. And, Atkins said when I asked him, what changed, what happened between November and January to make you kind of revert course. He said, I never really changed my mind. This was just something I didn't feel like announcing in November. Overall, their family was a huge influence on this team. Atkins said that his wife did everything but call plays. His 4 sons played on the team. 3 of them played quarterback, and 2 of them led Joe Burns to state championship games in 2008 and 2010. The list goes on and on for a guy who really was almost an innovator in Robertson County high school football. I debate that with his spread style. He ran something that you don't really see nowadays, especially in Robertson County football, much less 20 years ago, where a quarterback needs to know everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. So, and I think you can kind of agree with that too. And what you've seen in Montgomery County football, Brady, we have a lot of ground and pound styles here in the mid-state. And to see somebody, especially a 1A school, rely so heavily on quarterback and wide receiver play, it's really admirable.
Yeah, it's uncommon in high school. You see it a bit especially in college, a bit in the NFL, but I mean, high school, yeah, you just don't really see that a lot. Northeast comes to mind a little bit, running a bit of a spread, putting a lot of emphasis on that quarterback and throwing the ball. But outside of that, a lot of these teams here will just run the ball, and you see that really across all of Tennessee, all of high school. So very interesting that Joe Burns was able to run that for so long, especially early on, like you said, where passing the ball has only really become more popular in the last handful of years, especially at this level.
Absolutely.
So, Blaine, I know that was one of your one things. What do you say we jump into a little bit more of the one thing as we await a potential call from Coach Northington?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and click on my second here, talking a little bit about Greenbrier's Becky Legate, a name you haven't heard probably in Greenbrier communities for quite some time. But the CPA girls basketball coach was inducted into Greenbrier's Athletic Hall of Fame last Friday as a member of their last state tournament team that reached Murfreesboro as part of girls basketball. Her father was the head coach for that team, and he's in the Athletic Hall of Fame as well. This was something that originally on Greenbrier's schedule was supposed to be held this Tuesday against White House. I emailed Coach Legate asking if we could schedule something, a phone call. She said, this has already happened. This happened last Friday. So, a 500 game winner at CPA and Davidson Academy has an incredible track record, and it's well documented across the mid-state what she's done as a coach, what she's done as a player at Belmont and even at Greenbrier as well. So congrats to Becky Legate. Congrats to that state tournament team, and, really incredible stuff there.
Yeah, speaking of someone with a lot of wins under their belt, I mentioned it as we were talking to Clay Head. Johnny Jackson, boys basketball coach at Rossview, they're going to be celebrating his 400th career win. They're calling it 400 plus wins coming up here on Tuesday during the game against CHS. They're doing a bit of a ceremony before the girls' game at 6:00, and then what they're calling a reception or ceremony reception afterwards at 7:30. Maybe that means there will be some free food there. I sure hope so, because it can get hungry there waiting all those hours at basketball games. That. But that's going to be really cool. Johnny, just a class act, guy that, everyone in the area loves. Everyone that comes across him knows is a great guy. Johnny, if it feels like I'm blowing smoke to you, I already know I'm on your good side. I don't need to gas you up, but he's a great basketball coach. He's won a lot of games and a lot more to come, especially this season, as they have a really, really good basketball team. We mentioned last week how they scored 101 points against Sycamore, a school record. So, they have a really excited team to watch this year, and Johnny deserves all the accolades, and he deserves this because he's had some years where, the last couple of years, having to go against JJ Wheat and CHS, a state tournament team the last couple of years. They had a 1 seed in the district a couple of years ago and got upset by an 8 seed a year where they really had a chance to make some serious noise. So they've been through it a little bit, and I think they really deserve having it this year.
400 plus wins, that happens for people who have been in the industry a long time, been in the coaching game for a long time. And he doesn't look like somebody that's been in the game that long. I don't know if that's him aging very well or if it's just a mark to how great of a coach he's been, as you've mentioned. But, it seems like he could probably get at least 100 more under his belt before it's all said and done.
Yeah, he sticks around a little bit more. He's looking at potentially getting in that Hall of Fame, just like Becky Legate. So we'll see.
We'll give you one more thing from Robertson County here. You've heard of Detroit Rock City by KISS. Think of Detroit Sweep City when you look at the scoreboard from Tuesday. East Robertson and Joe Burns was a highly anticipated basketball game on both sides, especially the boys' game. But East Robertson kind of spoiled the party. The girls' game was 50-46. The boys' game 60-44. Not much of a chance there for Joe Burns. Rossview swept Springfield. We just got done talking about the Hawks, and they had a good district opener. A couple of double-digit wins on the road against the Jackets. White House, the Blue Devils went on the road against Portland and picked up a couple of crucial district wins. We're going to touch on that boys' game here in a second because there's something absolutely incredible out of that. And then Greenbrier also picked up a sweep at Liberty Creek, 50-40 on the girls' side, 46-30 on the boys.
Yeah, like you said, Sweep City makes for easy writing when you can kind of just focus on that. It's a free storyline for you. Two more for me. I've got on Tuesday night, West Creek boys got their first win over CHS since February 2018. So just about 4 years ago. They got a pretty good team. We talked with Russell Malone last week, talked about his guys really wanting to kind of earn that respect of the people in the area. really wanting to show that, they're a legit team, and doing that is big. Obviously, CHS not quite as good as they were in previous years. Like we said, JJ Wheat was around. He's now with Freed Hardman, balling out, averaging 10, 11 points a game. But West Creek is pretty good. They started that game a little bit struggling from the field, weren't shooting it super hot necessarily, weren't getting a ton of stops, but they still only trailed by 2, and then they came back and just basically ran CHS out of their own gym, and it was very impressive to watch by the Coyotes, getting their first win over that team, starting the district off with a win too, so that's always going to be big. And then as we take a second look here at the rankings, the Fab 15 rankings that are done by our own Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier, the CA boys are ranked number 9 in that area, despite coming off a loss to Good Pasture, of course. Another just really good team. So losing that team, not really anything to be ashamed of. Although I know CHS, or rather CA, would rather get that win. They'll have another crack at them, at least one. Rossview boys are in the just missed section of that boys rankings, and the CHS girls also just missed. Those are 2 teams that are looking to definitely crack that top 15 here coming up.
Well, we stretched it out for JoJo Northington. Unfortunately, he's unable to join us today for Joe Burns boys basketball, but we still got some crossover with Robertson and Montgomery counties. We'll take one more break before coming back with our game of the week and player of the week. You're watching the Main Street North Show, brought to you by Main Street Media Television and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal. Hey, I can hold my liquor.
I thought I could hold my liquor.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It was just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around. I didn't think there were any cops around.
I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Cover your nose, sir. Where you are right now?
I like that beat, man. I know it's probably royalty free, but someone came up with something good there.
Got to give kudos to Justin. I was talking to our former producer, Billy Derrick, a couple months back, and he said that sometimes they have to make their own beats. Justin, do I have that right? You guys make your own beats, or was he just tooting his own horn?
Yeah, I don't think he's ever made a beat.
He's never made a beat, so we're going to have to call up Billy Derrick on that one, but okay.
Yeah, so but we make our own shows though. We're not taking from anyway. This is all
this
us.
is not a template. No, this is straight out of our mouths.
All original right here.
There we go.
Yep, absolutely. It's all 100% original. Blaine, why don't you give us your game of the week coming up this week?
Yeah, we're starting off with White House Heritage, their District 9 2A opener against Sycamore. It'll be a pretty good one on Friday. I think that's where I'm going to be with our photographer, Ken Herndon. The girls have a chance that night to prove that they can compete with some of the best teams in that district. As you guys know, as the viewers know, Cheatham County and Sycamore are in 9-2A. And anytime you have Cheatham County and Sycamore, especially a girls game on your schedule, you have a tough challenge ahead of you. So whenever you have these teams in the district, you've got to really prove that you can compete. Despite their record, they're 6-11. I think they have a shot in this one. And on the boys' side, the Patriots are looking to get back on track after being a really streaky team this year. Anytime they get a couple of wins, win 2 or 3 in a row, they end up losing 3 or 4 in a row. So I think when I talk to Carl Miller on Friday, that'll be definitely something he wants to correct. You want to see your team win games, but you don't want to see them lose consecutive games in a row right after that. You don't want to see teams snowball. So I think that's going to be something interesting to watch at White House Heritage. We may have lost Brady McIntyre here. We'll try to get him back on Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Again, talking about the Patriots, they're 10-7 on the boys' side and 11-6 on the girls' side. So, Brady, we got you back.
My back. I think I had a little bit of a Wi-Fi spike there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get for using your home office for the podcast. Sometimes it's comfortable, but sometimes can be a wee bit unreliable if you're counting on Spectrum here.
Calling out Spectrum right now. Wow.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you got to give me that fiber Wi-Fi. How about that internet, that good stuff. But talking about my game of the week here, it's a bit of a unique one. One team that we haven't talked about really at all, with Clarksville Christian going up against CHS. Now, Clarksville Christian, of course, coached by Trenton Hassel, former CHS great, former Austin P great, and NBA player known for his time with the Chicago Bulls and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he coaches that team there at Clarksville Christian, the girls team. But his legacy might not be that he played in the NBA. His legacy could be that he's the father of Lauren Hassel, who is 6'2" 8th grader who is already getting looked at by Power 5 teams like Tennessee. Incredible stuff. So this means that's a matchup of Lauren Hassel, Power 5 8th grader, versus Amari Berry, also got a Power 5 offer as an 8th grader. So that's just going to be an incredible matchup. I cannot wait to see that game. That's tomorrow night, Friday, at Clarksville Christian. So I expect a pretty good crowd there for enjoyers of girls basketball in the city. And I also talked to Amari's AAU coach, Anya Shelton. She was telling me about some pretty big programs that are going to be there in the gym, sending multiple coaches. I don't necessarily want to dox all those coaches and maybe give away some recruiting plans, but there's going to be some heavy hitters in that gym watching that game.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that someone like Hassel is at a TSIAA school, somebody that doesn't even compete in TSSAA competition, but they really proved themselves last year, beat a couple of Clarksville teams. I know they beat West Creek. They beat Clarksville Academy. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
I believe they did, and I think they may have beaten Rossview too.
That's what I was going to say. I think they beat Rossview as well. So a lot of impressive wins for that team. That'll be a fun one to watch, especially with Lauren Hassel and Amari Berry. Player of the week in Robertson County, one I really found out yesterday, was really excited to see. Ryan Worrell and Zane Brown, the combination of these two combined for 52 of the Blue Devils' 77 points in Tuesday's come-from-behind win over Portland. If you look at these guys, you can see what they do, right? Look at Zane. That's what Zane does the entire game. Zane is going to go from college range and beyond, and he did that at Portland, as did Ryan. Ryan's a really flashy player as well, despite his size. This team's fun to watch, and even though they're 4-14 on the year, they really have an opportunity to make some noise in the second half of the season. They're 2-1 and now 1-1 in district play after that win against the Panthers.
Yeah, you did a cool little story on their possible turnaround here coming up, and I mean, if those guys keep scoring like that, goodness gracious, you're gonna look like an oracle.
It's hard to stop them. I mean, yes, the rest of their team has struggled a little bit, but whenever you let the offense run through these two guys, they're athletes, and they show that they can be two of the best guards, not just in Robertson County area, but in the Sumner County area as well.
Yeah, my player of the week, speaking of someone who's fun to watch, Keyshawn Papillion, 30 points against Henry County for Kenwood in a 15-point comeback victory. Kenwood kind of struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year. Then they went into their holiday break, and their head coach, Chase Cronin, told me after their game against Henry County that Keyshawn was kind of always the best scorer on the floor, but he decided during that Christmas break he wants to be the best player on the floor. He doesn't just want to be the best scorer, and he's started to do that. They beat Station Camp, played some really competitive games against other really good teams, then went out and beat Henry County in that district game behind 30 points from Keyshawn. He played great. He played some great defense, obviously 30 points. He iced the game. Kenwood could be a team that suddenly becomes very dangerous as they kind of start to click.
I think we have two teams here that we just talked about that had a little bit of a struggle to start the year and then figured things out. Kenwood, just like White House, has a shot to really compete in their district this year.
Absolutely. Two teams that you don't necessarily want to see yourself lining up against right now, but if you're not, kind of easy to root for, as they kind of have that little bit of an underdog story going for them right now.
Absolutely. And that's going to wrap us up here on Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Thank you all for joining us once again for another week. Another great show, and we'll do it all again next week.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.